Good morning guys, and welcome to Motorsport and Dream Cars, bringing you racing events and car reviews from around the country. If you're interested in buying a new car and fuel efficiency is one of your top priorities, you've got a few options. You can either go for your traditional diesel. At the other end of the spectrum you've got electric cars, and sitting somewhere in between you've got hybrids. I've been lent this Hyundai IONIQ Hybrid from Hyundai in Tunbridge, Wales, and this car is what I want to talk to you guys about. This is the 2018 Hyundai IONIQ, and before we take it out on the road we have a quick look around the outside. The main dominant feature of this car, we've got this large grille at the front, and that actually has active slats, and they will open and close depending on whether we need more air in for cooling or make it more aerodynamic. They will close. We've got this badge here. This looks really strange at first. It's like the Hyundai symbol, it's stuck on, but that houses the forward radar for the active cruise control. We've got dual xenon headlights and also daytime running lights here, and also some small vents, and what they are for is to release the pressure from the front wheels. It's all to do with being the most aerodynamic car this could possibly be. Hybrid cars have a unique look, and the IONIQ certainly looks different from other cars in the range. It's not quite as out there as things like the Toyota Prius, but it is different. You can tell just looking at the wheels, purely for aerodynamic reasons. They're basically sealed. It's almost like a hubcap over the top of it. Very sloped rear roof. We've got a two-part to the rear window and a spoiler going across, but there's no rear windscreen wiper. Didn't notice it made too much of a difference, but there isn't one. We've got LED lights at the back, and then the rear parking sensors and camera. So that's a quick look around the IONIQ. I'm going to get in the car and take this for the next couple of days. It's absolutely freezing and raining, so I'd rather be in there and give you guys an idea of what this car's like out on the road. I think what we should do first is discuss what a hybrid is. I'm sure many of you have seen a hybrid, heard of them, but maybe don't know too much about what they are. So up front of this car we've got a petrol engine, and in the case of the Hyundai IONIQ it's got a 1.6 litre engine. The thing that is significantly different about this sort of engine, it uses something called an AIONIQ cycle, and that means it's very, very fuel efficient, but the power is not fantastic. But to overcome that, we've also got an electric engine in here, and the car will either change between just petrol, just electric, or when it's under a lot of load it will combine the two. So total output of this car is around 139 bhp while you're driving along. It's very clever. It's a bit uncanny really how it actually manages to do this. You can be driving in petrol and then it will just change to electric. You don't even notice it's changed to electric, and then it will go back to petrol. And if it needs to charge the battery, it will go over to the petrol, charge the battery, and also run the wheels. Very, very clever technology going on here. The other type of car you may have seen, and Hyundai IONIQ do that, is a plug-in hybrid, but that's a completely different kettle of fish. There are reviews out there of that. A friend of mine, Petrol, he did a review of the plug-in hybrid, and I'll put a link down below of that one so you can see the difference between the two. I'm now on the M25, and I thought this was a good opportunity to discuss some of the features of this car that make motorway driving a lot more bearable. There are a couple of features I absolutely love about this car at the moment, and they are the cruise control. In fact, it's adaptive cruise control. So the way that works, you press a button on the steering wheel and it will say cruise. You then set the speed, so nothing unusual about that. But then the other thing it will do, if you set it at 70 miles an hour and the car in front of you slows down, it will keep a distance between that car and you. So you may, like at the moment, we've just dropped down to 55 miles an hour because he is slowing, or she, sorry, and that's really nice. It makes it a lot more relaxing. Down this side you've got a thing called lane assist, and I've put that on, and that will keep me between the white lines. It will make slight corrections to the steering input, so it's almost autonomous. It's not far away from being something like the Tesla has. Maybe not quite as high tech, but it's making this journey a lot easier. In fact, a lot easier. And I need to keep my hands on the wheel, which is sort of understandable. It's not AI and completely take over, but you just keep your hands rested on there. Over on this 8-inch touchscreen, you can press the hybrid button, and I can see now at the top we've got the 1.6 petrol engine, and in the middle you've got the electric motor, and down the bottom you've got the battery and how much charge is in that. So at the moment I've got some green arrows going down to the battery, so that means the battery's being charged, and we're actually using the petrol engine at the moment, so we're doing 60 miles an hour, and it's the petrol engine at the moment that's doing the work and then recharging the batteries. You can't actually change the settings to say, oh, I just want to use electric or I just want to use petrol. It's down to the car and how it works out what the best or the most economic option is. So as I was saying, at the moment we're just recharging the batteries. Interestingly, the actual battery monitor, which is over on the right hand side as well, so you've got battery down here, and also over on the right hand side we've got a battery gauge here, but it will never go above 50%. Well, I should say 50 to 60%. It will always keep the battery there, and depending on the load the car is under will then determine what mode it will use, which is great. It means you don't have to fiddle around with buttons, say, oh, I want it in just electric or just EV. It's a good middle ground for this car to be, so you can just concentrate on driving. And I must say, at the moment it sounds really weird, this, and when I read reviews, and the compliment of this car was, it feels like a normal car. And to me that seems a really strange thing to say. It feels like, well, it is a car, but I see what they mean. It's changing between that electric motor and the petrol without even knowing what's going on. I've got it in automatic. This has got a 6-speed. It's actually got a twin clutch gearbox, so it's quite smooth. If I do want to make it feel a bit more sporty, I've actually got a sports mode. Don't get me wrong, this is no sports car, but it's not supposed to be. This is all about practicality. It's about fuel consumption more than anything. So if you do want to change, you can do. I've got some paddles on just by the steering wheel, so I've got an up and down over here, so you can do that if you really feel inclined to do so. In terms of other things in this car, the dash, I really like this. It's a completely digital dash, so we can change various settings in there. I can see the appeal already of a hybrid if I just want to get around. This model, the premium, comes with fabric seats, and they're also heated, but the next model up, the premium SE, I think it's another couple of thousand on top of this, so this price is around the 23, give or take. Comes with fabric seats, but they are quite comfortable. They're not electric. The SE model comes with additional things. It's got leather seats, they're electric, and they've got memory on those as well. So there's a few extra things, and also you do get the option of 17-inch wheels. This has got 15s now. Interestingly, 17s do look quite nice, but there's a big but with this one. The fuel consumption drops 5 or 6 miles to the gallon if you go for the larger 17s. Now, I'm not sure, is it worth it? You go for a hybrid to be efficient. Do you put bigger wheels? It might look a little bit nicer, but do you want to put that at the cost of having better fuel consumption? I personally wouldn't. I'd leave these 15s. I think they actually look okay. It's a bit of a unique look, this car, anyway. At the moment, I'm getting 76 miles to the gallon. That is really, really impressive. And I've been cruising along at 70 miles an hour, relaxed, chatting to you guys about what I think of this car. In terms of performance, this car is average, I'd say. It does 60 in around 11 seconds, but it's a hybrid, and I think that's to be expected. You're not expecting this to fly around. Go and get yourself an i30N. I did a review on that. Shameless plug there, put a card up there. But it does exactly what it says. It doesn't feel like you want to push it. It's not that sort of car at all. But having the electric motor does mean when you're pulling away at roundabouts or junctions, you don't feel like you're going to get yourself in trouble. It will get you going, and then the problem becomes a bit sluggish. But like I said, once you're going, put the adaptive cruise control on the motorway at 70 and it just wafts along. It's quite comfortable. There's no changing up and down all the time. It just goes, it does what it's supposed to. So in that way, I think the performance for what this car is supposed to be, I think it's pretty good. While driving along in this lovely countryside, I've come across a group of Porsches. So this to me seems like a good opportunity to see if is this hybrid any good when you're progressing a bit quicker. So I've gone into S or Sport. I've got the use of either the flappy paddles up on the steering wheel or down here. So put my foot down. That's alright, this is not bad to be honest. Kicks down, and we've got some half reasonable power there. It's not quite the same as the Carrera S or the 911 Turbo we've got ahead of us, but even so, pretty good. The chassis seems okay, steering's a little bit light. I expect if you had the optional 17s on this, it will probably do a little bit better in terms of handling, but we need to remember what this is. It's a hybrid. Admittedly, Porsche do a hybrid. 918, that's also a hybrid. So hybrids are the in thing. And then I don't think I could quite compare this to a Porsche, but it's good fun anyway. We've got all these amazing countryside, we've got amazing cars all around me. Why not enjoy ourselves? So why should I get a hybrid? What would make me go out and buy a Hyundai IONIQ Hybrid instead of maybe a more traditional petrol car? Well, to me it comes down to this: fuel consumption. This car is pretty impressive if I'm being honest. I'm averaging 65 miles to the gallon. I've done a full review of just on fuel consumption where I drove around London in the M25. I put a card just up here and you can go and watch that and you'll be surprised by some of those numbers. So that's the main thing. Diesels do offer good fuel consumption as well, but I think people are falling out of love with those, and also manufacturers have stopped making them, so that really doesn't help. And this car, if I'm going to get better fuel consumption than the diesel, and it's quieter and better for the environment, it's a bit of a no-brainer for me. I would choose this, I think, over a diesel if I was getting a new car. I think it's a bit harder if you own maybe a couple-year-old diesel. They're pretty impressive now, they're quite quiet, they're fuel efficient, but new cars, I think it's got to be a hybrid. There are disadvantages to owning a hybrid car. Generally they are more expensive. The engines aren't as powerful as well as a traditional petrol engine. That's purely because they've gone for efficiency over performance, but you do have that electric motor to make up for some of that. But that brings another downside, the fact the electric motor has to be driven by something, and that's batteries, and in this car they're in the back, so it does make the car heavier, and this does affect handling. Also, there's a bit of an unknown with residual values of these cars. We don't know, being honest, with the IONIQ is a new car, and we don't know how they're going to hold their value longer term. There's some thought that maybe hybrids are going to hold their value better because they're becoming more popular. I don't know, I can't answer that one. If I did another video in about 7 or 8 years time, we probably could, but that's the only other thing, a bit of an unknown when it comes to that. But overall, I'd say the benefits certainly outweigh the cons on this. This car will seat 5 people, and I'm in the back, and I've put the driver's seat where I'd have it, and it's okay. There's not a huge amount of legroom, and head height just about. I think if you're any taller than me, I'm just coming up 6 foot, and if I put my head on the back, it just grazes the top of this roof. That, because of the design and the aerodynamics, the roof does slant off quite a lot. So fine for me. You've got room in the middle, and then obviously the same on the other side. We've got a bit that pulls down in the middle, and we've got a couple of cup holders, so it's not a bad place to be. Electric windows in the back. So overall, I think this is okay, as long as you're not over 6 foot anyway. This is rather a sensible bit of the video, but buying a new car is probably going to be one of the largest financial commitments that you're going to make, other than owning a house. So it's important you get an idea of how much getting in something like this IONIQ Premium is going to cost you. So I've got some real quotes here from Hyundai and Tunbridge Wells for the vehicle they lent me. And we've got a couple of options. You've got PCP, so personal contract purchase, and that means you pay a deposit, a certain amount each month, and then a large payment at the end, and you get to keep the car. So the figures for this, we've got a £2,000 deposit, £359.17 for 36 months, and then one final payment of £11,025. So that's option one. The other option, which I think is more appealing, is personal contract hire. Now, you still pay a £2,000 deposit, but you're paying less each month, £273.60, and then you give the car back after the 3 years, and then basically you get into a new IONIQ, and you keep going like that. The only reason I think, this is my personal opinion, nothing to do with Hyundai or anyone else, but I'd personally prefer to give the car back after 3 years. I think technology with hybrids is moving on rapidly, and in 3 years I'm not sure where we're going to be. I think we'll be a lot further ahead, and a car that's got so much technology on it, I'd rather have one that was 3 years newer. My personal opinion on that one, but everyone to their own. Now, the other thing we've got is servicing. So it's 10,000 miles a year, that's £129. 20,000 miles 2 years is at £209, and 30,000 3 years is £135. So it's not too bad. The other costs you've got on this, tyres, they're about, well, the 15s on this anyway, they're about 50, maybe £60 each. Not sure of the costs of the larger 17s, but that's only available on the Premium SE model. The other thing, I know people are concerned with how long are the batteries going to last, how long's the motor going to last, and you've got some of this covered. You get an 8-year, 100,000 mile warranty on the batteries, and then the rest of the car, I think like most Hyundais, you get 5 years unlimited mileage. So that will cover your motor. So I think that, or the electric motor I should say, and so I think that covers everything at the moment. We don't know how long the battery is going to last. The car is new, it's only been out about a year, 18 months. so lifetime we don't know. In terms of cost of batteries as well, they've never replaced one, so the cost hasn't been released from Hyundai. Until something happens, you won't really know the costs of that. But if anything does happen inside the warranty, normally they'll just take the car back and give you a new one. Sometimes they might try and fix it, but generally it's a new car, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. So that's where we are in terms of pricing. Depreciation, again, we don't know. It's a bit of a stab in the dark. There are no cars that are 3 years old out there. All I can say possibly is with the PCP they give you a guaranteed value of 11,000. That's what's remaining in the car. Could we say it's worth that? I don't know. I can't give figures on that, but they're the numbers. It's up to you guys to make that decision. Hopefully I've given you enough information about the car and all of the costs that go with it. So I'm hoping this hasn't been too boring part, but it is really, really important. Having had this Hyundai IONIQ Hybrid for the past couple of days, I tried to pack as much in as I could. I've managed to cover 3, maybe even 400 miles. I've been to one of the busiest places I've ever been. That was central London. I've done the car park that is the M25, and that was stop, start, stop, start. I've done some beautiful countryside. So I've really tried to do as many things as I can. And to me, the most important thing was fuel consumption and comfort. And both of those, it's done very, very well at. I wasn't quite sure what I was expecting. I'd seen the figures on the paper, sort of 70 something to the gallon, and I really wasn't sure that that was ever going to be possible. But it is. It's very close to those numbers. Not exact, but not a million miles away. First impressions, I do like this. This is a very, very good car. This video is coming to a close, and I'll be fascinated to know your opinion on hybrids. Would you consider getting one? And if not, what are your reservations? I must say a massive thank you to Hyundai in Tunbridge Wells for lending me this IONIQ. It's been a great experience and hopefully lots of information for you guys. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Comments are always welcome, and remember to click on that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.